Ladies and gents, welcome back. The Freedom Convoy was 3.5 years ago, yet the show trials are still ongoing. And now we're learning that the sentences that the Crown prosecutors are looking for are so disproportionate that the silence from the Conservative Party, who has largely gained a lot of popularity because of the Freedom Convoy, the silence is deafening. Let's get into this story. Freedom Convoy leaders' sentencing hearing to begin July 23rd with verdict due in August. So we are just about to see what ends up happening. It's just around the corner. Now, of course, we're talking about Chris Barber and Tamara Lich. This was the #1 truck in the Freedom Convoy, Big Red, as the name is for the truck. Now, their sentence hearing is coming up, and it's absolutely uncanny what they're actually asking for in the world's largest mischief case. This is absolutely mind-blowing. Now, this was last week. Trial update. The judge has denied Chris Barber SOP application, written reasons to follow. Sentence hearing to commence Wednesday morning, July 23rd, 2025. We received the Crown's materials, including a 1,040-page book of authorities they will be referencing in order to convince the judge that Chris and I should be sent to a penitentiary for 2 years for mischief and seize and destroy his truck. Now, that's just petty at that point to seize his truck, but they're asking for 2 years. Well, they're asking actually for more. Tamara Lich just tweeting this out over the weekend. We learned last evening that the Crown has submitted their materials to our legal teams for upcoming sentencing hearing. They're seeking 7-year prison sentence for myself and 8 years for Chris Barber. I haven't seen their docs yet, but hopefully we'll receive them today, can provide more details. With that, we are eastbound and headed for Ottawa. So they're going to face, they've been convicted of basically being Dennis the Menace. For all intents and purposes, that's what the conviction is mischief, which is a very small crime, but they're looking for 7 and 8 years respective for the two of them. Now, Ezra Levant chiming in on this one. Tamara Lich was arrested 1,249 days ago. Doug Ford's Attorney General has spent millions of dollars in malicious lawfare, the longest mischief trial in Canadian history, all to break her, to punish her for leading the most effective, peaceful civil liberties movement in our generation. It's Doug Ford doing this, not Justin Trudeau or Mark Carney, but Tamara won't break. No poor person could afford to fight back, and no rich person would even bother with this. This is crazy. It would be economically rational to plead guilty to save wasting the time and savings on lawyers and having years of their life wasted. No, she's actually she's doing this on principle. They're both doing this, Tamara and Chris, saying, no, forget this. We are innocent of what's being, we came to protest against the government's overreach. And boy, did they overreach in this, and they're still overreaching. Only through crowdfunding can thousands of ordinary people get together to beat Goliath in an army of Davids, as Glenn Reynolds calls it. Now, Mr. Sunshine Baby, fellow YouTuber, calls out the Conservative Party. In particular, Pierre Poilievre, why are you so quiet on this subject? Without the trucker convoy, the Conservative Party was nothing. A bunch of losers who never accomplished anything. Do you remember the days back in those days when, it was Aaron O'Toole that nobody liked and lost an election? That's right. The convoy literally gave them a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to win, to beat Trudeau. Canadians were so angry with Trudeau, we needed someone to give us hope. The trucker convoy was the singular event that propelled the Conservative Party of Canada into winning territory. The Conservatives did an okay job using their momentum of the F Trudeau to gain popularity, but they obviously dropped the ball on this final quarter. It is a big mistake for the party to stay silent on the political persecution. Oh, sorry. Freudian slip, I guess. The prosecution of Tamara and Chris. It's a persecution. Come on, let's just be honest about this. Now, the Conservatives did use this, and Pierre Poilievre in particular used this to his advantage to get the leadership, win the leadership race. Here he is at the debates, just ahead of winning, invoking the truckers to gain his seat.
Now, Mr. Charest learned about the trucker convoy on CBC, like other liberals, and he misrepresented them. He believes that I should be censored. He believes I should be canceled from this leadership race and disqualified, in his words, because I don't share his liberal viewpoint. That is the kind of cancel culture and censorship you would expect from Justin Trudeau, but instead we're getting it from this liberal on this stage. Frankly, Mr. Charest, for you to talk about law and order is a little bit rich, given that your party, your Liberal Party, took $500,000 of illegal donations when you were the head of that party. The average trucker has more integrity in his pinky finger than you had in your entire scandal-plagued Liberal cabinet.
Well, it wouldn't take much more than you lifting your pinky finger to chime in on what's happening with those truckers. Mr. Poilievre, it would be really nice to hear you chime in on it now that it might be a little bit important about this. Wiretap Media saying, why is the Conservative Party silent? 2 Canadian protesters are facing 8 years in prison after the federal government broke the highest laws of the land and attempted to unleash the military on Canadian protesters. And the Conservative Party is silent. Why? Why are they silent on this one? Alex Zoltan, a friend of mine and reporter for Juno News, Pierre Poilievre should take advantage of his civilian status and speak up about the convoy lawfare. That would be fair. Now, some people are pushing back, Mario Zelaya, saying for everyone that's trying to put pressure on Pierre Poilievre to make a statement on Chris Barber and Tamara Lich, enough! You all need to stop. He's the leader of the opposition. There's a concept called sub judice. The court cannot and should not be influenced by politicians making public statements. This is, of course, this is one argument, but well, let's talk to some of the biggest lawyers in the country replying to this in particular. Keith Wilson saying the ongoing criminal mischief trial, now approaching 2 years, has consumed millions of taxpayer dollars within an already overburdened justice system. Daily sentences of ineffective catch and release policies highlight the strain on our courts, where scarce resources are stretched thin. Prolonged delays and disproportionate allocation of judicial resources to a single case to undermine public confidence in the administration of justice. These concerns can be raised by Mr. Poilievre without violating the sub judice rule. He can advocate for fair and more efficient system that serves all Canadians, but has chosen not to do so. It's totally within his reach to reach out and say this. And I mean, he could always use this to his advantage. It would be fantastic to see him come forward, make a stink about it, and then when the media has backlash, he can come out and use that as a springboard to say just how bad it is when we see people who are committing violent crimes being released. We see people who things I can't even say on YouTube have been done in Canada, and those people are not seeing 8-year prison sentences. They're seeing lesser sentences and quicker trials. This is just absolutely astonishing to me. Eva Chipiuk chiming in on this one, saying Tamara Lich and Chris Barber were only charged with mischief and a few other minor offenses, and ultimately convicted of mischief, a charge about as serious as doing a burnout in a parking lot. Yet before they even stepped into a courtroom, they were publicly branded as insurrectionists, and I can't even say that word on this channel. These are serious accusations, ones that were never charged with, and let alone convicted of. Let's not pretend sub judice rule is actually being followed. This rule is meant to protect the integrity of ongoing legal proceedings, but does not ban all discussions. Fair and accurate reporting of the court facts is allowed. General comments on related policies or issues are also allowed. as long as they don't create a real and substantial risk of interfering with the outcome. Still, politicians routinely misuse sub judice not to protect the courts, but to avoid accountability. They invoke it as an excuse to stay silent on controversial issues, especially when it involves their own failures. That silence is political, not legal. And yet, in this case, there was no hesitation to speak. Politicians, lawyers, and even judges got ahead of the facts and pushed a narrative that was never supported by the law. That's not justice. That's political theater. This was not a routine criminal trial. It was a politically motivated and government refused to listen to its citizens. Institutions failed. Policing broke down, and the result was mismanagement, incompetence, and a response so heavy-handed that it became an international embarrassment. And still, no one in power stood up to correct the record. That silence speaks volumes, because when truth takes a backseat to politics and protecting your image matters more than being honest with the public, you don't just lose credibility, you erode the foundation of democracy. Now, I'm looking at this situation, and I'm looking at the way the Conservatives have been putting themselves out there, in particular, Mr. Poilievre. Back a few years ago, there was a protest across Canada protesting against some of these policies in the schools that are pushing gender ideology on children against the will of the parents. Now, the parents got together and they put together a protest to say, enough of this. We're tired of it. We want no more of this. I went to report on this one of the protests in Vancouver, and at the time we had Jagmeet Singh and Justin Trudeau and many others on the left side of the aisle in Canada, in Canadian politics, coming out and condemning these parents and libeling them, calling them a bunch of names. Now, Pierre Poilievre largely stayed silent on this until public backlash grew so much that he had to chime in on it. Is this going to be a case for this as well? Is he going to chime in on this a little too late? It looks like the ball's already dropped. It's already a situation where he hasn't chimed in on it, and now public pressure is mounting. I'd love to hear from you guys what you think is going to happen. Well, only time will tell, of course, but I'd love to hear from you. Comments in the comment section down below. What do you think Pierre Poilievre should do? The Conservatives as a whole, should they chime in on this story? And of course, let me know what you think about the lawfare that's actually happening. Is 7 or 8 years a sentence that's worthwhile for what Eva Chipiuk absolutely compared this to? The crime that they committed was equivalent to doing a burnout in a parking lot. Is this the kind of justice system that we should have in Canada? Let me know in the comments down below, and we'll see you in the next one. Keep on trucking.